Here's the placement of my ELT antenna on the right wing. So this surface is 2 coats primer. Got to get the underside 2 coats primer. What you'll notice too, and this is, I mean, I'm in Georgia. It's not that cold here, but what I had to do was I actually had to use a little bit of duct tape on the fabric work in order to. So I re-glued this, but you know, when I did it, it was cold, and a lot of this came up, so I re-glued it really strong, threw some duct tape on here. You're not going to see it, but it'll help to keep the fabric down. And so I'll have to, when I flip this over, I'll re-iron it. I re-ironed the top surface. I got it nice and taut. But anyway, there's the placement. So I'm going to have my coaxial cable come in there, and then just come down like this, right down to the ELT battery system. So I drilled through there. That was a 3/8 inch drill bit, a little bit widened, and then the engine's going to be back here. I measured it's about 2 feet, from the rear spar to the antenna. So there's enough clearance for the engine. Today, so we got the 15 feet or 5 yards of it, and so yeah, I just kind of attached it real quick just to show stages of how this is going to look. There's a couple ways to do it right here. What Tom had suggested is actually cutting the fabric just kind of straight down and looping it around the weldment, the gear weldment. But what I'm going to do is just pull the gear leg off, because I got to spray paint it anyway. I'll probably do that today. And I'll take off the strut as well, and then I'll bring the fabric around to about where the weldment is, and I'll just kind of cut a little hole for that opening. I've seen people do that too, and that looks good. You just have to be a little bit more careful about it. If you do cut straight down, then you've got to put some aluminum pieces behind it, because you've got to glue the fabric to something, right? So there's not going to be anything there if you just cut straight down and then glue it. You can't just glue it to these pieces. You got to put something behind it. You won't see it. That's fine, but I'm just going to try to do it my way here. So that would prevent some cutting, and then I can do some seam tape, 2 or 3 inch seam tape, probably 2 inch around it. So it's about from there to there. Thanks Tom again for calling Superflight to get this extra fabric, just a little short on it, but now that it's here, it's been probably 3 or 4 days since I've really done anything with the Excalibur. I guess the other thing I did do is I painted the push-pull tube for the rudder, so that's all set for the part that you can see, and that's been primed and painted. I did one coat of primer and 2 coats of paint on that, so that's not the spray paint. It looks similar but different, but still looks a lot better than it did. fuselage, and I must say it was a lot more challenging than I anticipated. It wasn't, and I always like to stress, you know, it's not a difficult, super difficult process, but being the perfectionists that we all are when we're building these airplanes, it becomes a challenge when you don't get it right the first time. So, and here's an example. So both sides look like this. When I tried, so there's two ways to do this, right? You could cut the hole like I talked about, or you could just cut through the middle and put a piece of aluminum in there, cut down the center, put a piece of aluminum in the backing. Well, I tried to do that, but I didn't have the fabric completely stretched out and aligned, so my cut was not very good, as you can see there. So as I tried to cut the other side, it just totally got off in this crazy way here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, hey Joel! What I'm going to do here is just patch it, which is fine, and actually I think it's probably better that I know how to do this. So I'm just going to cut a patch that goes from here down and then across here and then probably up like that on both sides. Again, you can see through the other side there. It's about the same. It's, you know, you're not going to tell at the end because you're going to have a piece of seam tape, and when it's painted, it's not going to look any different than you would expect. I mean, the seam tapes you're just not going to really see. If you look at the pictures on the CD for fabric work, you oftentimes see a lot of seam tape around the back and seam tape down the boom tube and so on and so forth. So not a big deal, but I'm just showing you the good, bad, and the ugly here. This is the way it is. But you just take the iron out some of these wrinkles here, and I'll probably just work on this just a little bit to get some of these more wrinkles out here. And again, this is going to be covered with, you see the other side here. And that's another disappointment, is that the fabric didn't stretch up as high as I thought it would on this side. You see these wrinkles coming out of here? At least some of them. And as it stretched, as I ironed the tail, more places kind of stretched, so you just kind of go back over it. But what's my iron at? Oh, it's too hot. I have it marked for 375. Anyway, that's the idea. I'll iron this and I'll put the patches on. Today was a very long day, but I have 2 more days off before I go back to work, so I just figured I'd get all this this stuff in here. So what did I do? I finished the fabric work on the fuselage. It's patched, and not just patched, but I put the seam tapes on, and it looks good. So that's all in there. Got the seam tape on the side, and yeah, sorry the garage is down, it's getting dark out, but man, I'm done. So I did that. I did the tail section, and I primed and painted that, and then I assembled the tail. So the tail's on for good, hopefully, and now it's just it's ready for transport. So everything's on there this way, and yeah, just ready for let's see what's next. Prime and paint the fuselage, do the brake lines, install the pitot tube, the Lexan windshield, put the wings on. Done. And then get it registered. And then paint. I want to paint my my stripe. I'm gonna do a red stripe.